that question right there is what frightens women who are past the epiphany phase. I'm not saying the wall, whatever. I'm just saying past the epiphany phase. Because the chick that I showed you here, let's see if I can grab that one more time. The girl in, and by the way, Andrew Wilson is the guy that's in this video here. This chick, Hannah Griff, any 40-year-old man who is genuinely interested in a 20-year-old woman is either emotionally stunted or emotionally manipulated. It always has to be in terms of emotional terms, right? I'm 28 and I have nothing in common with my 20-year-old self. Well, guess what? That's you. That's not a 45-year-old Michael Sartain. And that's not a 21-year-old Kylie Magaha. She's got a great name. That's not a 55-year-old Rolla Tomasi, and that's not a 21-year-old Maya Allegra. That is not, because at 28, 29, 30, right there, that's when women want to check out of the sexual marketplace. And they're looking for a guy whose world they want to enter into, because that guy now represents long-term security. When you look at alpha fucks and beta bucks, when you look at the dual mating strategy, and once again, here it is in black and white, easily identifiable, women want, especially during 18 to 28, they want to have fun. They want to maximize that. And why wouldn't they, right? You want to know why women are doing OnlyFans. That's why. It's not because guys are just like, give me more, give me more. It's because women understand that that is their primary agency in life. And if they can monetize it, so much the better. So 18 to 28 years old, the hoe phase, the party years, whatever you want to call it, they're maximizing the alpha fucks side of hypergamy. You will rarely hear women of 23, 22, 23, 24 say, where are all the good guys? How come they only want young girls? Well, they are the young girls, so they're not saying that. Doesn't even have an afterthought for women like that. Of course, they're not going to say that. It's only when women get to be 28, 29, 30, 31, somewhere around, that's when you hear women say, where are all the good guys? How come they can't just mature? How come they can't just They have. The difference is that those guys, maybe they're in their mid to late 30s, and they don't want to have anything to do with you. They want to get with a woman who you think they don't have anything to relate to, but they actually do. So not only are they getting, because they're now getting the best alpha fucks and beta bucks, right? So now if you are, now Michael's a little bit past where the age I'm talking about, but just say for sake of argument, you're 38 years old and you want to get, I'm not saying you should be 18, but let's just say she's in 23, right? Well, you can say, well, they don't have anything in common. But that's the beauty of the relationship, is finding things in common, because the guy already has a world and has a nature and has this, this better judge of character. And women will say this. It takes longer for men to develop their abstract thinking. It takes longer for men to develop, to become. It takes longer for men to make partner in the law firm. It takes longer for men to be a better judge of character. It takes longer for men to understand how to be a man, first of all, and to have a world and develop a world into which that woman wants to develop that frame into which she wants to enter. But now you're going to complain that because you lack the foresight to say, you know what, I'm 23. Maybe I should be looking, maybe I actually should be looking for a Michael Sartain at 40 or whatever. Maybe I should be looking at the God's eye view. Maybe I should think in terms of grand strategy. That doesn't occur to women, because they're solipsistic, of course, and then they're fed, of course. I'm not saying that the environment isn't something that like sort of distracts women from actually thinking that way. It does. But that's on you. It's not him. He's a guy who just said, you know what? He was smart enough to hold out until he was 36, 37 years old. He goes, you know what? Now I'm maximally attractive. Fucking hey, this is great. I can get with a 23-year-old if I want. If I want to get with a 33-year-old, I could do that too. But again, like you'll hear guys like, and Myron, to his credit though, Myron will say, guys who are that age, who are high value men, who are still in good shape, who are, on top of their game, they made their bag, whatever you want to call it. It's not always about money, but that is definitely a part of it. They're still in good shape. They still, they're still attractive at that age. They say women still want to get with him. Fucking the guy, 57-year-old actor guy is the sexiest man alive, according to People magazine, for Christ's sake. Who can argue with that? What's the readership of People magazine? I'm not sure I would take him as the sexiest man alive, but point taken. The deal is this, is Mike has a frame into which Kylie wants to enter into. And I think he's going to talk about that here.
So there are some studies out there that show, they're called, like I said, May December marriages, where it's a much older man with a much younger woman, and in those cases there is, there are situations where a man will do a lot of mate guarding in order to keep his girl, but that's because she is of a very high level of attractiveness in comparison to him. And so that whole situation, my whole point about this whole deal is that I don't think one side has the ability to manipulate more than the other. I do understand that the man is going to be more have more experience, but that doesn't necessarily make him more manipulative. And so, like, going back, like you said before, with the whole situation with Leonardo DiCaprio, he is apparently bad because he has all these 25-year-old. Once the women turn 25, he gets rid of them and goes on to the next one. And by the way, a lot of those women don't come back and complain. They got to date Leonardo DiCaprio from their standpoint.
I think one of the biggest, I think a big scrutiny, at least of women or feminists who look at the Leonardo DiCaprio situation, is that we should, it is imperative that we influence men to settle down faster, to want families before they turn 50, right? Like, I think it is, it's vain, it's dysgenic, and it's sort of morally corrupt for a man to go his whole life using and turning out women and not creating a family. So that's like a
Wait, is that your argument or the feminist argument?
Well, I think that's like the inherent uncomfortable feeling of most women when they look at the Leonardo DiCaprio situation. Like,
got it.
It is
what feminists are saying that goes against sexual liberation.
You've talked, Andrew, I'm sure that you've talked to retarded feminists. I'm sure that you have talked to genuinely stupid feminists, and I'm sure that there are a lot of feminists who don't agree with the points I just made.
Lee, I don't even know if it's feminists. I think it's just older women who just don't like, because one of the things that happens is there's two parts here. One, we're going to look at what they call the Peter Pan syndrome, where a man continues to. See, here's the thing. You're looking at the 50-year-old man and his wealth, and you're like, oh, well, he should have just got married at 32. What if he wasn't wealthy at 32? I can tell you a lot of guys, they become more established later in life, and they had to work really hard to get to that, level of comfortability and wealth. And then all of a sudden they're like, you're selfish for not creating a family as soon as you can. When in reality, like, during his early 20s, he had very few options with women. And now he has more because he's finally put on some muscle. He has some gray hair. Like, he actually, at some point in his life, can afford a house, maybe 2 houses, maybe a car, things like that. He has some level of financial freedom. This is the first point in his life where he's actually turned into the 21-year-old hot girl.
I don't think that's.
All right, she's going to rattle on here in just a second. Actually, let me just take her out real quick. So what he's saying is, again, what you're saying is that developing some, like, the longer you hold out, the longer you you build that world and you build that empire and you build that castle, right? The longer you have to do that, the more selectivity you're going to have as a guy, assuming you stay on top of your game. Now, all of this is predicated on one thing, that you're maximally, contributing to your maximum potential in life, to making sure that you have what makes you maximally attractive. So, like, for instance, and I got this too, by the way, where'd it go? Here it is. See, now I can put this up finally. So when I throw this out here and people say, Rollo, I can't believe you think that a guy is as good looking at 35 or 36 or 38 as he would be when he's 28 or 30. I'm like, dude, that's not what this is about. The things that make men alpha fucks and beta bucks, right? Maximally physically attractive looks. Okay, good. Physique, physical prowess, a capacity for violence, dark triad personality traits in measure, right? Those things, the things that make a woman want to fuck him on the same night, alpha fucks traits. Then beta bucks traits. What makes him a good long-term security bet for her? What Mike is talking about here is the old adage, courtesy, and I'll quote, credit where it's due, Rich Cooper. Women don't care about men's struggles. They wait at the finish line and they bang the winners. Okay, so my only problem with that is that not every woman can be the one. Not every guy is going to be a winner, and not every woman is going to be able to be waiting at the finish line. Some of them have to make a bet on a horse, on a racer, on the guy who's going to get to the finish line in the first place, that guy has to have some sort of long-term potential. That's why when women are younger, they're looking for guys who are good, who have good potential. Like this guy, he's going to law school. He's going to be a surgeon. He's in his, his internship or his residency or whatever. He's going to be a surgeon. He's going to do this. He's a good bet. He's sexy now. I want to fuck him, but he's not he's not the winner at the finish line. He's not Mike Sartain at 45. He is this dude at 28, 29, 30. Or maybe even younger. I can use, I remember I've used this example before, so forgive me if you've heard this before, but like Gary Vee, for example. Gary Vee has not always been the multi-bajillionaire guy that he was, but in his 20s, he got with his first wife, I guess only wife. I don't know. He got remarried, but he got with his wife. They've been together. They had kids and everything like that. He was a good bet at one point to Gary Vee's wife. Then, of course, he becomes Gary Vee. They get separated. And I want to say it was like in 2022 that they got divorced, separated, whatever. And he's with a much hotter, much more, certainly younger, much more sexual, much more enthusiastic, probably. Now, Gary Vee's not going to get that caliber, that choice of woman, if he's not fucking Gary Vee, if he's not making that kind of money. Gary Vee's not the best looking dude in the world, but the chick that he's with is probably cool with that because she wants to sort of attach himself or coattail him, right? She wants to attach herself to his coattails. There's a lot of women that do that, by the way. They're looking for potential. The problem is that most guys don't see that early on enough. So they think that their ship has come in. They might be 25 years old and the girl that they're with is like 24 or something like that. Or maybe they're 30 and she's 25. And then that chick's like, oh, this guy has some potential. He's going to make some money, or he has some money right now and he stands to make a lot more later on. I'm going to be better off security wise because this guy is such a good bet. I'm going to stick with him. Most women don't do that because those guys are few and far between. Got it. I can use Gary Vee as an example of this, but like now there's no earthly way that same caliber of chick would be that the girl that he's with right now would ever have anything to do with him when he was 25 and didn't have any, two nickels to rub together. Same thing with, I use Robert Kiyosaki and Kim Kiyosaki, right? There's probably like a 10-year difference between them, 8-year difference between them. So you're looking at a younger woman, older man situation between the two of them. Robert Kiyosaki, and by his own admission, I don't think he's going to take any offense to this, was a blue pill beta. It was a chump. And when a woman who is in her epiphany phase sees a guy who has a lot of money or potentially stands to make a lot more money, that guy's a mark. He becomes a mark unless he becomes red pill aware. You want to know why women hate me so much is because I'm making guys aware of that game. Like saying, guys, don't settle down until you get to be 30 years or until you get to be 36 years old or whatever. And at least then consider it, right? I'm not saying don't still date and fuck around, whatever you want to do, but don't consider marriage or monogamy or whatever your long-term, you agree with until you have done something, you maximize some of your potential, because the minute that you do, the minute you take on that commitment, because that comes with a lot of other things. It's maybe you have kids. Maybe it's your family. Maybe it's her family. Because when two people come together, it's not just two people coming together. It's like one family with another family, with kids, with grandkids, with whatever, everything else that goes along with that, or the potential for them, and at the very least, right? So there's a lot that goes along with that, and those responsibilities and accountabilities, or liabilities, whatever, those become hindrances on you reaching your maximum potential to begin with. So when Rollo Tomasi puts out a tweet that says, hey, the fastest, quickest way to becoming a high value man, avoid family, don't get married, a vasectomy, oh my God, only to protect yourself from paternity suits, really. That's what everybody fixates on. But you know what? There's 7 articles to that too, by the way. Get in shape, stay in the gym, blah, blah, blah. Never was it resist the lure of easing up on your focus. That was one of them too. Nobody disagreed with that whatsoever. But you notice that everybody who wants to be sort of family oriented, they don't want to acknowledge that by doing so, you're placing limitations on yourself. If you want to get there faster, if you want to lap people on the track of life, and what are you willing to sacrifice? Well, not family. Okay, well, then maybe not family, but you have to accept and understand that by doing so, you're accepting those liabilities. You're accepting that those sandbags that keep you from reaching your maximum potential or becoming more than you were. Okay. Why am I saying this? Because we're going to get to midlife crisis here in just a second. And I'm going to explain to you why a midlife crisis for guys. And by the way, we only recognize that term for men. And I've been accused. I got accused of it yesterday, for fuck's sake, But the midlife crisis is not a midlife crisis. It's a midlife epiphany is what it is.